into our hotel, I break down crying. What have I done? Like, I don't know. It was something about the neighborhood. I'm like, child. Are you sure? Are you sure? I was crying. I mean, I boo-hooed in that taxi. My friend is looking like, girl, you're killing the vibes. We are here. Where are we? What are you doing? Like, why? We literally just got, what are you crying? She had no clue what was happening. She's like, did I do something? I said something? What happened? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jenai, your personal change management coach and consultant. And I wanted to come on today to talk to you about my best case, right? My best change case, my best ever client. And that would be me. That would be me. I'm sitting back thinking about one of the biggest changes that I made in my life, and how that came to be. And that was moving from New York City to Thailand. That came with a change of career and obviously a change in location, change in community, change in culture, change in mindset. And so how did that come to be? What happened? This is a frequently asked question. Oh, what made you move to Thailand? How did that happen? New York is a great place. We thought you loved it there, etc. and so on. So it wasn't so much that I didn't love it in New York, or that it was from hatred or some sort of deep dislike. It really was just an awareness that I wasn't in the right place. I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. I was no longer in the career that I wanted to be in. I was no longer thriving. I was quite literally burnt all the way out, clean flat. Severe burnout. And so here's how it happened. I'll just get right into it. I woke up on a Monday morning, because we love Mondays, and I was literally sitting there hanging off the edge of my bed. Just, you wake up and you're kind of slow to get moving in the morning. And so it was definitely a slower start than usual. And I just remember having this feeling like, yeah, today's today. Today is the day that I take action on that vision board that had, as soon as I wake up, there was a vision board right in front of my face. I'm like, today's the day you take action on this. And I want you to pin vision board, because it's not the type of vision board that we are accustomed to seeing, where we just collage pictures all over, a piece of paper. That's not the type of vision board that I had created for myself. And so I woke up clear. I woke up ready. I woke up aware. I woke up ready to take action and ready to bring myself in alignment with the life that I really wanted to live. A dream of mine that I had for years, which was to live and work abroad, that I had just put on the back burner thinking, forget about it, girl. You're not going to be able to pull this off. And so I go on about my day, get ready for work. I said nothing to no one. I didn't call up a friend and say, hey girl, I woke up feeling this way. I didn't share anything with anyone. I didn't seek validation or approval about what it is that I felt, how I felt here and how I felt here. I was clear. So I get to work, and I prepared my resignation there. So I went in and I gave 2-week notice on that Monday. It was a Monday morning in June, and that was the start of it. And word traveled very quickly. It soon became known to, other managers and, people in leadership in a team, and it was just like, okay. So initially it just looked like no one knew why I was resigning. You see, none of my colleagues knew what brought about the resignation, and I held it close to my chest. I knew that this is not something to speak on. This is something for you to move with intention and strategy with regards to where you are currently, that current state condition, to get you to the future state that you desire. And so it began. All right. And so fast forward, I finished my 2 weeks. I was done now. After the 2 weeks, and maybe about my 3rd week, I was feeling like, oh my gosh, what have I done? You're leaving a good job, girl. You're leaving a good life. You're leaving a good career that you've had. I had been in my career for about a decade at that point. And so it was, what are you doing? You're going to start all over in a different country you know nothing about. And so the awareness is there, knowing change. I knew what needed to change, and I knew why it needed to change. And that's the most important part. I knew that if I continued in that career and in New York City, that I would I was going to wake up in a hospital. I was that burned out, mentally, physically, emotionally. I had no steam left. I think I was burnt out, honestly, within the first 2 years of my career, but that's a whole different story. But I was clear. I didn't want to go out like that. I'm still young, I still got a whole lot of life to live, things I want to see, things I want to do. I don't want to go out like this. And I knew what the risks were. I weighed the cost financially. No one else was going to be impacted by this big change, only really myself, and so I bet on me. I said this is the time to change. And so the desire to do something different, that buy-in for me to build a different life, different systems around the way that I was operating in life. And this really brings me present day where I am now. And I'm just coming to realize that making that decision years ago led me to a bigger aspect of the future state that I wanted, which was a life of ease, right? And I discovered that I was really desiring a life of ease once I made the move to Thailand. You can work, you can have a career, you can do all these great things, but do you need to burn out behind it? Do you need to be completely exhausted and checked out of the rest of your life, your personal life, your social, all those other, your spiritual, all those other aspects, you're completely checked out because your career is completely burning you out? No, I began to wake up to that. So it took about a year, to maybe not a full year, a little less than a year to make the full move. I had to get some things in order financially. And this brings me to the next point. The awareness and desire was there. What was missing for me was the knowledge and the ability. I had no clue how I was going to make this happen. I just knew that I was going, you know what I mean? Like that was all I knew. And so I needed to close that gap. I needed to increase my knowledge as to how to move from the United States to Thailand, and then have the ability to actually execute, to do it, and then to sustain it. And so I began to do some research. And some of you might be listening like, why didn't you research before? No. That's a whole other video. Anyway. So I knew one person in Thailand, and I knew what they were doing over there, and I thought, maybe I can do that too. Maybe there's a way for me to somehow get into that. And I'll be honest, you think, oh, she knew somebody was easy. Not necessarily. I reached out to this person, and it's almost like I don't want to use the word gatekeeping. I think that's a little too strong, but I don't think that they really felt as though I had the skill set to come in and do exactly what they were doing. I could come, but I was going to be some notches down. I needed to start at ground zero, square one, which was fine. I wasn't really looking to do much. In my mind, I'm going to go over there, I'm going to put my feet up, maybe I'll tutor on the side. I had to write some things online that you can tutor, teach English on the side, and that was enough for me. That was really, at that point in time, enough. I wasn't looking for anything else. Fast forward, after reaching out to them, letting them know, hey, I'm going to visit first. It's been a long time since I've seen you. I thought maybe I'll come visit you and just check it out, see if this is really someplace that I could come and settle and live. And they're like, yeah, for sure. Now, let me back up a little bit. This is not a time, I did not move overseas during a time where you saw this a lot online. This was not birthed out of me being on social media, being on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube and things of that nature, and consuming so much content about traveling abroad, about Black women living abroad. None of that was not happening in the numbers that we see today, and I was not active online like that. I'm just too busy at work to really be active online, and the things that I would consume or post online had nothing to do with traveling abroad or anything like that. This is, again, birthed out of a genuine desire to return. Really, I should say return back overseas, because as a little one, as a child, as a youngin', I started off overseas and then came to the U.S. And so I had always said to myself, when I get big, I'm out of here. I'm going back overseas. And I found myself like lost, like kind of stuck. I got caught up in the grind and the rat race. The United States, now I'm in Thailand. But I'm in Thailand. All I have is a 30-day plan. I only increase my knowledge enough to sustain me for 30 days. I only, what's the word I want to use? I increased my capacity and my ability only enough to sustain by 30 days, right? What's supposed to happen at the completion of this program in 30 days is that essentially they place you in a local school, and you're going to teach English as a second language, typically like in a government school or something like that over, in Thailand, or some like their TESOL programs or something like that. You could even tutor adults. It doesn't have to be children. Look what happens. 30 days. Oh, yes. Oh, and I secured a place for myself. 30 days. That's all I had. That's all. And Mr. Tony, the chauffeur, who just wanted to show me the world, honey. That's another story. I never let him show me the world, y'all, but it's another story. Okay, so the professors, they were actually professors. Some of them were teachers, and some of them were like, there was one professor, he was a professor and a psychologist from South Africa. I think he owned the program or whatever. And so he took a liking to me, maybe because I also had a degree in psychology at the time. My bachelor's was in psychology. And he's just like, hey, what are your plans after this? I'm like, well, what do you mean, what are my plans? What's y'all plan for me? The program said, y'all help with y'all placement. You know what I mean? What's the plan? So, part of the program, we went out, we shadowed in different, like government schools, like public schools. They would be the equivalent of public schools in the U.S. We shadowed, we had, our own teaching days in schools like that. And he said, well, we have your resume. He was like, I see something different for you. You really have stood out in a way that's very different from some of the other cohorts that I have, and I want to do something for you. So I started getting phone calls from international schools, which is not, like top tier international schools in Thailand. I did no research beyond the mutual friend saying to me, hey, this is what I did, to solidify my stay and, make it so that I can move from, I think he was from Australia, I think. Anyway, to help him move from his home country to Thailand. And I said, I never looked at anything else. I just rolled with that. And so the long and short of it is, I essentially had 2 interviews at top international schools in Thailand that I never applied for them. My resume was sent out by these teachers and professors from the program, and they said, she's a strong candidate to come on board as a full-time teacher, as a Common Core teacher, not to teach English as a second language, but to be a teacher. And that was not on my radar at all. My background is psychology, and what I used to do in New York had nothing to do with education. I may share at a later time more about that. Actually, it's in the description. Somewhere on here. Anywho, so I go, I take on those 2 opportunities, and I end up, I only went to 1 interview. I wasn't there to stress myself. This is not an interview, so I'm going to this interview, and we're going to see what's what. I had no clue how to prepare for it, because not only is my background not in education, right, just from a U.S. perspective, but now here I am overseas at an international school, and I'm just like, I don't know what. I don't know. I went to their website, read a few things, came in, looked nice, and I just remember the director was like, well, I think maybe the owner of the school might want to meet you first. I don't know what that was about, but I was just like, all right, cool, no problem. So go up, meet the owner. He's just like, he looked over to, my resume and asked me a couple questions. He said, well, what do you want your salary to be? I said, this is how it goes over here. Well, where am I? So, we can stop it there. The point is, right, the point I'm trying to make in all of this, first of all, moving to Thailand forever changed my life. In ways that I just had not, I could not have imagined that. All that I thought I was losing, community, friends, career, income, all these things, everything. This was a complete overhaul, a systemic overhaul, right? To create a new life, to really not create and align with the life that I really wanted. And that begins with awareness. Nothing can happen without the awareness that something needs to change, and you knowing why it needs to change and what's at risk if nothing changes. If your life stays the same right now where you are, friend, if nothing changes for you in the next 12 months, what's at risk? It's going to be scary. there are going to be some challenges, different barriers that you may have to work through, but that's when we tap into whatever strengths you have to leverage out the challenge and the barriers that may arise as you begin your journey to implement change. But had I not woke up that Monday morning with the clear mind and heart that now is the time, I'm ready. I'm not telling anybody. I'm not shopping it around to see if this is a good idea. This is something that I should do. Should I make this big change? No, I'm ready. And I didn't really like go into this frenzy about trying to know everything and trying to have everything set up in place before I made the move. I had just enough, and I just kept building upon that. And I mean, I got a life that I thought was lost to me. You know, if I'm being honest, I thought that I would never get a chance to live and work overseas and to study abroad, because I also earned my master's in education overseas from a U.S.-based university that they come over and they teach us. And so I gained new friends, new community, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like right every time I tell you it won't come out. But just to be immersed in a new culture that I at one point I could only just sort of daydream about and imagine. I love everything about the food, the people, my mindset change, and continuing with the systemic overhaul. I began to change as a person. Things that I had struggled with in the States, it became easier for me to work through overseas. So those changes are more linked to the sustainability piece of change, and we'll talk about that more on this channel. But I just wanted to come on today and share that story that I am forever my best client. I'm always taking inventory, assessing, the different systems and life domains of my life in terms of how I function and operate and how I'm showing up. This is not about perfection. This is just about awareness. What needs to change? What can you improve? Where is there a gap in your life in terms of what you're building, how you're living, how you're existing? Do you need help? Is there some way to close these gaps? Have you tried to do it by yourself and you've not seen any fruit? You've not seen any change. The outcome remains the same. You can't even get started, or you kind of fizzle out midway through. And so that's where I come in. Hello, get to the point. That's where I come in as your personal change management coach, consultant. That's where I come in. Again, my name is Jenai, and that's where I offer here at Copper and More Consultant. I am a certified change management coach. I think that's the better way to say it. In my line of work, we would say it a different way, but now that I'm transitioning away from the corporate world and working more in the personal lives of Black women, that is how I want to show up for you as a coach who partners with you to help you align with coming into awareness so that you can create and build the life that you want, so that you move from being stuck sort of in this, stuck in this mundane loop, right? This mundane loop of living. You're just kind of getting up, going through the motions, but something is off, right? I want to do something different. I want to change. I want to switch it. I want to switch up my career. I want to do something different in my personal life. I want to make some different commitments in my spiritual life, but you just don't quite know how to implement those big changes all at once, or even little by little. Some of you might be seeking a whole systemic overall, like that. Some of you may be unaware of that. I had no idea that moving abroad would end up being a complete systemic overhaul for me. And when I say systemic, I mean like just internally, the way that I functioned, the way that I saw myself, and the way that I interacted in the world just completely changed. And so that may be also where some of you are. Some of you may be looking to navigate smaller changes, and that's also fine. The point is just coming into that awareness, and really being clear about what's at stake if you don't do this. And so I'm here. I would love to speak with you all more about those big changes that you would like to make and where you feel stuck. And to do that, you are invited. I invite you to set up a discovery call with me. Let's jump on for 20 minutes or so, and let's have a chat. Let's have a chat about where you think you'd like to make those changes, and I will also, just have a an intake, a quick questionnaire for you to help you navigate through what that looks like, so you're not trying to spin your wheels about where is it that you want to make the change. The questions are guided to help you kind of narrow down where that change needs to happen and some other areas that you might need to think about. So the form to set up a discovery call with me, it's free, complimentary, will be linked. It's both in the description, but I'll also link it here in the video. I'm looking forward to partnering with you all on your change journey. Thank you all for listening. Again, my name's Jenai. Welcome to the channel. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe before you go.